are, because this is B.E.P. Talks. Hi, welcome to this edition of B.E.P. Talks, where we are so proud and so blessed, actually, to bring you amazing guests who share their beliefs, their experiences, and their passions. Now, they come from all over, many different areas of expertise, but the one thing that they have in common is their generosity and their willingness to share beliefs, experiences, and passions to inspire, to motivate, educate, entertain, and to engage you, because we'll always give you contact information for our guests. So without fail, we have been able to bring you some extraordinary guests, and today is certainly no exception. Today's guest, and I welcome Lisa Alexander.
Hi.
Hi, Lisa. How are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful. I'm so grateful for being here. Thank you so much for having me
Well,
today.
you are so kind to say that, and I feel exactly the same way. I have been so in great anticipation of our talking today, because I need to learn so much from you, and I think our viewers need to learn so much from you. And let me tell them why. You come with great credentials and great experience. My goodness, you are a quantum metaphysician. We need to find out more about that. You are the creator and the founder of the Alexander method of vibrational sound and energy therapy. What is that all about? You are an award-winning speaker, an author, an advocate, a consultant, a strategist. My golly, what don't you do? And you are the author of a book. I want to make sure I say this very carefully. The title of the book, Get Forked, F-O-R-K-E-D, Healing and Transforming Your Life with Tuning Forks. Well, now you know why I and all of our listeners and viewers have a lot to learn from you. And I thank you for being here today to share. First of all, what is a quantum metaphysician?
Well, very simply, meta means beyond. So metaphysician means beyond the physical. So we're working in quantum data, just like quantum physicists. So, we have this physical body, this vessel that we're in this life, but there's so much going on around here. And that's really what we study. So we study the cosmos and the universe and the entanglement theories and connecting to things beyond the physical.
My goodness, that makes so much sense the way you explain it like that, because wow, there is an awful lot going on around us all the time, isn't there?
Yes, there really is.
Where did you gain your interest and your enthusiasm for the
Well,
metaphysical?
It's interesting. As a child, I was one of those people who, like most children, right, till we're about 7 years old, we see our angels and our guides and our ancestors around us. And then, with my case, I got sent to Catholic school. And at my age, we still had the old missionary nuns. So, you had to put all that away, put your invisible friends away and not talk about that. I remember getting punished once in like 4th or 5th grade for having a Ouija board. And so I had to kind of tamp down those abilities for a very long time. And then it just hit a boiling point in my late 40s where everything and everyone in my life just fell apart. So everybody around me died. My parents, my best friend, I lost a baby. We lost our farm. My dog was run over by a car. I mean, it was all like bam, 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 bam. And honestly, Beth, at this point, and all the money I had, saved up for my retirement from being a model and actress in New York City was gone. My husband betrayed me. He spent all my money. I literally was left with nothing and no one. And I was sitting in my living room at that time, being ready to be foreclosed on, and I had a gun in my hand. And I just was ready to just leave. And I had this cute little West Highland Terrier, Max. He's no longer with us, but I'm going to cry. He crawled up in my lap and he licked the tears from my face. And I put the gun down and said, if I leave now, there's just no one who's going to take care of you. And so with that declaration, I yelled out to the universe. I just was on my hands and knees, stripped down, raw surrender, and just said, okay, God, I'm ready. Whatever it is you need me to do, I am here to do it, but you have to show me the way. Send me a sign. The funny thing is I actually said, I am done. Put a fork in me. I can't take it anymore. So either, show me a sign or take me off this planet. And Beth, within 2 days of making that declaration, in just complete stripped down surrender, I got a letter in the mail from my homeopathic doctor. And at this time, I was living in the country because we had a farm and all that. And she was a few towns away. And it was snail mail. She was in her 70s, and this was 12 years ago. So she had a little piece of paper that just said, hey, I'm into something new. Come check it out. So I went to check it out. It was a quantum metaphysician who was talking. And sure enough, I'm giving a Reader's Digest version of the story, but there was a woman next to me, and an attractive woman, probably middle-aged, dark hair. And she said, she blurted out something while this quantum metaphysician was speaking. And she said, I keep hearing deconstruction before reconstruction. And I looked at her. I was like, wait a minute, you just described my life, because I was in deconstruction.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, you're the reason I'm here. And I said, what are you talking about? She said, I know what David does. His name was Dr. David Hulse. She said, I've studied under him. I didn't need to be here, but Spirit rousted me out of bed this morning and told me I had to drive 2.5 hours to the middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania to put some light worker on her path. It must be you. We're going to go have a talk after this. So sure enough, we did. We went downstairs to have coffee afterwards, and most people's always hungry. So I got something to eat, and I offered to pay, right? And she only got a cup of coffee. She grabbed my hand and she said, no, you're not paying. I said, but I'm getting more food. I'm getting more than you. Let me buy you coffee. She said, no, I know you have no money. And I'm like, how do you know that? This was before Facebook was big, and I certainly wouldn't have put any of this out there anyway. And, we ended up having this talk, and this woman knew things about me that nobody else could have. She knew past, present, and future. And she knew I had another house. It was my mother's house because she'd passed, but we hadn't gotten rid of it yet. Actually, I'm living in this house now.
How beautiful. How beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. And she said, it's much closer to where I live. Let's start meeting there. And, we started meeting, and she was doing readings, and she brought out these tuning forks, and it was just amazing. I mean, she knew things about my family. She knew everything. But then one day she said, you're going to discover something new that's really, really going to help people. And it's really important. And, you need to get on this path because it's anchoring in the new frequencies for this new world that's being birthed. At this point, I was like, I don't know if she's right there. So I let it go. And by the way, she never charged me a dime. She was not extracting money from me. As a matter of fact, she brought me gifts. So she really was putting me on my path. And it was. I mean, when I started working with her, I started getting messages from my angels. Feathers would just fall from the sky into the middle of nowhere. I literally saw angels. They appeared in my bedroom one night. I mean, it was just, I talk about it in my book. It was just like one thing after another that was too hard to ignore. And I started working with these tuning forks, and they started raising my vibrational frequency rate. And the higher my vibrational frequency rate was, the more I could tune into the frequencies of the universe. So if you think of the universe like an old-fashioned radio where you're going to just dial right into that right frequency, and that's what these do. Using the right frequencies and the right mathematical sequences, we can dial into those right frequencies that help us release stagnant energy in our chakras and our meridians and our biofields, help us to heal physically, help us to heal emotionally, mentally. And then there's that psychic component where you're tapping into those much higher frequencies where you're meeting your angels and guides can kind of come down and meet you. And you have this natural psychic ability that can help not only yourself, but as well help others.
Lisa, let me just jump in here for a second, because this is an incredible story. First of all, also Catholic school education. I also had that 5th grade nun. I think we all have that 5th grade nun.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking as you're telling this story, because I don't believe in coincidences. I just don't. I believe in the energy, and things come to you when you're open to it, when you need it, and when you ask for it, as you did so humbly. My God, with a gun in your hand, I can't even. But don't you think this woman was one of those angels?
Yeah.
I mean, God works in strange ways.
Yeah, because I never saw her again. She just kind of faded from my life.
You never saw her again.
She just, oh, I got chills just right now thinking about it. She kind of just faded from my life, and but set
But
me
she
on
did
my
her
path.
job. She did her job and she set you up to do what you're now doing. That
Correct.
is an that, I have shared stories like that, not exactly like that, but people have said to me, Beth, why is this always happening to you? And I say, no, 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 it happens to everyone. But as I said, you do have to be open to it, and you do have to accept where it is and take it for what it's meant to be, not delve into it too much, not get woo woo about it. I certainly don't know what you know, but don't you think that that's part, or do you think that that's part of it, Lisa, that you just have to be open to it, be accepting? And we live in such, everyone is so skeptical about everything. Just stop being skeptical. Take the gifts
Correct.
that the universe gives us when they give them to us.
Correct. You're absolutely right, Beth. Absolutely right. And she even told me, she says, just start looking for the signs. And when I looked for them, they came and more came and more came. And so now, and definitely, like you had mentioned about coincidences, the late great Wayne Dyer, I was a big fan of Wayne. I read all his books, and he came to me in a visitation a week after he died. And, he had said in one of his books that coincidence, if you take the Greek root of the word, actually means two angles that purposely line up. So there really are,
Really?
yeah, so
Really?
there really are no
Two
coincidences.
angles that purposely
They
line
lie.
up.
Yeah.
So there are no, so it's almost an oxymoron, the word, because it's absolutely, or it's the opposite of coincidence. It's lining up on purpose and with purpose.
Yes, and with purpose. I love that. I
Oh my
love
gosh,
that.
I am
Yeah.
learning so much from you. Listen, I know that you are an award-winning speaker. Can I ask you now, when you're speaking to an audience, to share a little bit about what it is that you talk to them about,
Mhm.
and how you relate to your
Yeah,
audience? Can I ask you to do that?
sure. I tell them that story. I might give them the little more longer version. I give them, they always want to know particulars. Well, how did the angels show up? And how did, so I'll tell them and I'll ask questions.
Okay. So
And
thank you, because I think that's what we want to hear. So with no further ado, here now, Lisa Alexander.
okay, how did the angels show up? So I started playing with the solfeggio frequencies, and they are the kind of lost frequencies. So the Gregorian chants, if you don't have tuning forks, listen to Gregorian chants. They are amazing. They are sung to these frequencies. And these are the lost frequencies. Jose Pulio found them in the book of Numbers, and he had six, they were just six frequencies. He figured them out. And I was working with just these six frequencies because the quantum metaphysician that I studied under, that's what he did. And he actually he was a 50-year Pentecostal minister who also had a spiritual awakening and then went down this path. And when I was working with these frequencies, what drove me a little crazy was, I studied the Himalayan Institute for years. I've been studying Ayurvedic medicine, and we know the Hindu, so we're really working with the chakras. And we have 7 main chakras. We have more higher and lower, and we have little ones throughout our body. We have 7 main chakras. And so the 6 frequencies were wonderful. I was working up the chakras, right? So I'm raising our vibrational frequency rate so we can reach our angels and guides, raise our Kundalini energy. But when I got to our crown center, there was no dedicated frequency or fork, tuning fork at the time for that. So knowing this is all based in math, particularly Tesla's math. So everything is based in 3, 6, and 9. All of these numbers, if you use Pythagorean theorem, which is where you take a number like the oot fork or root fork, it's 396. 3 plus 9 plus 6 equals 18. 1 and 8 equals 9. And we go up the scale. So it's, 963, 963, etc. But when I got up to the crown, there was no fork for that. So I sat down one day to figure out the math. And when I figured out the math of what the crown center fork would be, it was 963. Well, it just so happens, Beth, that I was born in 963. So I'll never be able to lie about my age. Yes, just last month I turned 60. But when I added that fork to my modality, that's when things really took off. Just like Tracy had said to me, she said, you're going to discover something new that's going to really help people and bring us to a higher vibration, like the famous sleeping prophet Edgar Cayce used to talk about. It's going to bring us to a higher vibration for this new world that's trying to be birthed. And that's when I said, oh, I guess she wasn't off on that last reading she gave me. The light bulb kind of literally went off over my head. Called up my manufacturer, because my tuning forks are made in the US. They're all custom made for me at the highest grade aluminum alloy out there, medical grade in Indiana. And I said, look, I need you to make me this frequency 963. And he did. And I added it to my modality the way I was doing it. And then everybody else started having the same experience as I was. They were seeing angels, their psychic ability was coming online. Psychics were coming to me, especially before they did big gallery readings, and to answer the question, how did the angels show up for me? It started with feathers. Then it started with seeing colors. And then one night, it was just so miraculous. I was in between the two houses. I hadn't moved to the home I live in now, my old house. And I always would sleep in my little pink room. And then one day I said, gee, I need to upgrade to my mom's bedroom, right, to the adult room. I couldn't sleep. It was just, it was very difficult to sleep. It felt weird. It felt odd. My mother had passed in that room. And I was just wide awake. And all of a sudden, Beth, in front of my eyes, it's like crazy, this outline in white, like a laser, this laser pointer, but white, was drawing a cookie cutter outline of a little angel. And it literally reminded me of a cookie cutter, because my mom was an amazing baker and she'd make all the cutouts for Christmas. And I was just like, oh my God, I could see it with my physical eyes, not my third eye, my physical eyes. I was just like so amazed. I was in tears of joy. And then when that got done, right next to it was this big wing, this big delicate wing with every little line of every feather in the wing. And it was much larger than the smaller cutout. And then what I heard was, I'm Archangel Michael. Right. And so we know in the spiritual world that Archangel Michael is that first archangel that comes to you to help set you on your spiritual path. And to me, it was him showing that he's overshadowing me and he's helping me. And that was just, I was hooked. After that, how could you ever turn back? And I just continued to work with these numbers and these frequencies, and my clients were having the same response. So they got to the point that they were asking me, hey, look, I want to learn how to do this. Can you please teach me? And I said, teach? I didn't even think of doing that. The irony is I went to college to be a teacher. I was a high school history teacher for about a year until I got discovered and ended up in modeling and acting. So anyway, I said, look, I can't teach right now because I need to put the science behind the spiritual. I'm a Libra. I need to be balanced in both. And there's that fear, of course, of going out into the world, especially that was like 10, 12 years ago, saying, hey, here's what I do. I talk to angels. So I don't live far from New York. I went to Columbia University. I started working under professors there who in acoustic sciences, studying sound and vibration. And it was just great. We ended up doing brain scans on my clients. We found how we were putting people into these deep states of meditation like Tibetan monks, but we were doing it in one session. In one 90-minute session, we were getting people into these deep states of meditation. So they were actually in this deep theta state where you are, your body is almost asleep, but your consciousness is awake. And that's when we can astral travel and leave our body, have out-of-body experiences. And my clients were having this. But once I collected the science to back up what I was doing, then I was ready to teach. Then we started teaching it, or I started teaching it. Now I have others that help me. And, one by one, our mission is we're raising the vibrational frequency of the planet one person at a time. So what I'd like to do now is, I've been teaching very small classes to people, and we did bring the program, the Alexander Method of Vibrational Sound and Energy Therapy, online during COVID because we had no choice. And so we teach a lot of the science and a lot of the method and technique online. However, in order to get certified as a practitioner, you have to work directly with me right now. However, I am teaching other people to be teachers because it is a hands-on modality and you just can't quite do it over Zoom. I mean, we often have technical difficulties in these things. So it was just amazing that once I started teaching, to see my students, my practitioners having the same experiences. And they'd call and text me saying, oh my God, you wouldn't believe what just happened. This happened, that happened. And a lot of it was not even what happened to them. They were so excited at what was happening for their clients. And that's how I felt, for them. And just recently in October, in September, at the end of September, I was teaching a master skills class, and it was just 2 students. And it's going to go up on my website, but one of the students, she had 3 solid days of learning master skills. And then on the end of the 3rd day, she's from Virginia Beach. I said, gee, you've actually never had a tuning from me. So before we end today, because the next day they had off, and then we'd be back in class again, it's a solid week. I said, let me do a full tuning on you. Let me do a master level tuning on you. So I did a tuning on her. And this is after 3 days of learning all of this. And she went to the trails, because we were out in the country. She went to the trails to run. She was a jogger, and she like took the phone and took a picture of herself. And she said, something must be wrong with my phone. I took another picture, and it turned out she had a halo. She had this beautiful halo around her head. So we call it the halo effect. And actually this weekend, I'm going to write a little newsletter to get out to all my people to show them her pictures. And we're in the middle with the launch of my new book, Get Forked. We're in the middle of relaunching a whole new website. So we're going to put that picture up under the Alexander Method on the website too. But that is some of the effect. So we're raising our vibrational frequency because, we are really bigger than our physical body, and that's why we feel the presence of someone when they come into the room. And we know this through science. So the squid machine, we can, Heart Math Institute in California, which is amazing, has measured the magnetic field of our heart. And they say it's 3 feet around us. And the reason they say it's 3 feet is that's as far as the machine can measure. But we know that it goes beyond that. We're all entangled in this big web, this cosmic web. The Native Americans said, the spider, the spider web, that web of life that brought the creation into being. And that's truly what we're all a part of. So when we saw this effect, that's what we do when we work on the whole body. We're just creating this light body. We're working on this spiritual body that transcends not just this life, but past lives, future lives, multidimensional lives. The things that we see, if I told someone who was skeptical, they'd probably want to put me in a straitjacket. But we've just seen literally miracles happen on our tables. And that's why I'm really grateful, Beth, for people like you who are helping me get this word out. We need to get more boots on the ground. We need to train more and more people doing this so that we can get more people in this vibrant energy. It's life-giving. We all seem to look and feel younger. I'm 60, and the other day, last night, I went and joined a karate class. I never thought at 60 I'd be taking karate. And it's just something about vibrational energy. Tesla knew it. Einstein knew it. Bohm knew it. Pribham knew it. All these great scientists of the 20th century knew it. It's just that they couldn't quite at that time articulate that because they were in that scientific community and they had their reputations to uphold as well. But when you read a lot of the other stuff that they wrote that was beyond their formulas, they all talk about spirituality and intuition and raising our vibrations. And that's really what it's about. And we have a way that we follow. We've learned that when you follow this method exactly, and I'll tell you a little something else. When I was developing this method, I was working at a real high-end resort for a little while, and there was this new thing coming into me, and I had trouble getting it. And what I mean by coming into me was I was so connected to my guides and angels. They were teaching me this method and telling me we did this in ancient times, probably ancient Lemuria and Atlantis. And I couldn't get this one part, and my students all have trouble with it. I got it. We all got it. But a hand came out of the ethers while I was working on someone at this resort and took me through this to get the particular method down. And it was just amazing. And people have the experiences that they have. If someone goes to my website and just reads some of the reviews, people have their lives have changed, their relationships have changed, their careers have changed, their health has changed. They've had crazy out-of-body experiences. They're seeing their own angels, they're their own intuitives. They're no longer spending money running around to psychics. They get their own psychic communications. So it's very empowering. It's just so empowering to have that. And as a practitioner and a teacher, it's just it's just wonderful to be able to give that to someone and then watch those seas or those ripples, like when we throw a stone into the pond, right? And those ripples, those vibrations go out. So that is just it. They're amazing. They're beautiful. People love them. Now I've got these gongs and singing bowls back here now, and I use those for larger sound baths, just to bring the vibration into the room. The tuning forks, there's a big set of them that we use, and that's for individual sessions. And gongs and singing bowls are wonderful too. I mean, I do use those for group sessions, but they're not. You can't get a gong or a singing bowl to the highest frequency that you can a tuning fork. As a matter of fact, in tuning forks, the bigger the tuning fork, the lower the frequency, the lower the vibration. The smaller is the higher. And we work up a scale, kind of like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. But we work up the ancient scale. It's a little different. And so we can get with tuning forks, which are cheaper, lighter, and easier to carry around when you're a practitioner than these things, we can be far more precise and accurate. It's kind of like a surgeon, they're getting more and more accurate because they're using robotics and they can really pinpoint things. And that's kind of the idea of a smaller tool as opposed to something like that. Don't get me wrong, we all still love our gongs and singing bowls. They're beautiful, wonderful instruments. And they served, just like Reiki and all the other natural energy modalities, served a great purpose for a very long time. But we are moving into a new age. And the Mayan calendars predicted this, the Incas, I was just down in Peru last month, they all predicted that we are living in this amazing time. We're at the end of a cycle, a 13,000-year cycle. And this is where we're supposed to ascend to a higher, better state. And let's face it, if you look around what's going on in the world, we are in that state of chaos. We are in, like Tracy had said, deconstruction before reconstruction. So we are here to help reconstruct this new earth, this new world that we're all being prepared for. And I think that's why some people are leaving the planet and just, now I don't mean taking their lives, but things are happening. I can't believe how many classmates I've lost in the last number of years. I think this new frequency, this new vibration that's coming in is a little hard for some people to take. So we're hoping to alleviate that by helping raise your frequency so you're ready for this. So I'm just so grateful that I was given this mission on this earth and I finally stepped into it.
Oh my gosh, I had to jump in here because, well, I have a list of things that I want to further explore with you. And every time you said something, the last thing that you just said is so obtusely evident. You would have to be, I don't know, under the biggest rock on the planet not to know what's going on in the world. And when you use the term deconstruction, it can be applied in so many different ways. What came to me is the thought that we say the darkest hour is just before dawn. And I'm kind of relating that to you in that moment of desperation where Max, thank you, Max, your little terrier. My aunt had the same dog also named Max, that little white Scottish terrier. That Max was there to save you, to help you save yourself, I really want to say. That seemed like that was your darkest hour before your new dawn.
Yes. Yes, it was.
Okay, let me go back through some of the points that I jotted down. Vibration, it's energy, correct? When you talk about vibration, it's energy. And we know people who, I call them flatliners, they just like, they just seem to be without being, without the ing, they're just there. So is that the kind of energy that you're talking about, that there are some people who are just vibrating at a higher level naturally?
Yes. Yes, they're vibrating at a higher level. And in all the trainings I took from amazing angel intuitives and stuff like Doreen Virtue, etc., when we raise our vibration, their vibration is so high, but when we raise ours up, they can come down to a certain point. And the more we raise ours, the more we can finally meet up with them. But you're absolutely right. There are people who are just flatline, their vibrations are low, their energy is low, and they might just not get it. And I'll tell you, Beth, I have had complete skeptics on my table. I had the wives are like, oh, my husband, oh, my wife made me
Yeah.
come. And those are the ones that have some of the greatest spiritual awakenings, because I think spirit knows they need to be shook, right?
They need
So
it the
they're the
most. Yeah.
yes, they need
Yeah.
it the most. And they're the ones who say, what does it mean when you see a big eye open up? And it's like, oh, wow, well, your third eye just opens,
Yes, you said that, the third eye. That I wrote that down also. Talk to me about the third eye.
Really important. Having the third eye open is what clairvoyance, right? So clairvoyants really have their third eye open. And that's one of the things we do, is making sure we get that third eye open so you can see through the illusion that we're in. You can see through the illusion of people, places, and things. And I got to a point, even with my modality, that I had the crowns, the 963 for the crown, which now everyone carries. And then I started working through the math of these higher ones, because I learned that when I would leave my body, I actually often left through my crown center. And I wanted to make sure that this was a clear, good space. So I started working the math, and I came up with what's called the pineal gland and gateway tuning fork. And then I did get a design patent and trademark the gateway fork. So these work within those really high chakras above our head, our gateway to other realms, or gateway to higher vibrations. Pineal gland is actually based on a scientist in the 1930s, John Worley Keeley, who found the frequency of the crystals within the pineal gland, deep inside. Not, we talked about the calcification on the outside of the pineal gland. This is working the crystals inside, and we know there are crystals. Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about those crystals in there and enlightening them. And also in 2014, University of Michigan did indeed confirm there are crystals deep, tiny crystals deep inside.
Okay.
So this is set to that frequency. And then this one's set for these frequencies for these higher chakras, because my clients had, they're, okay, we want to go even higher. We want even more. And it's really important. And I'll tell you that.
So I want to mention, by the way, before I forget, when you said the feather, I've had that experience. And I shared something with one of my brothers, and it was based on a medium. His name is John, and I can't think of his last name, but I was listening to him on the radio while I was driving one day, and he was talking about the feather, and that's like someone coming back to kind of visit you and letting you know that they're still there. And I thought, oh, well, one of my brothers, who happens to be a Catholic priest, I wondered how he would feel about that. So I shared it with him, and he was open to it because he's a very educated man. He said the next day he walked into his office, there was a feather on the floor. Blew my mind. And I think of in the movie Forrest Gump, remember that scene where the feather, he's like waiting, I think for the bus to come, and the feather just invisibly appears, kind of a thing. I mean, it's a beautiful vision.
Yes.
It's a beautiful vision, and that it took energy. And when nothing is blowing, but something is moving through the air as if it were being moved by a wind or a gust or something. Archangel Michael, one of my faves. Dreams. Some people dream more vividly than others. Some people remember their dreams more readily than others. Do dreams in our sleeping hours have anything to do with any of this?
There's all kinds of different research on that. And there's, more from a scientific standpoint, they said our dreams are just a way of working through the things that happen during the day. And I definitely think there's truth to that. But then there are different dreams within dreams, like the movie Inception really showed us how we have a dream within a dream within a dream.
Yes.
And then like this one helps release melatonin. So what people tell me when they use this set together, that their dreams become far more vivid and memorable and almost otherworldly. And that
Yeah.
is how you can astral travel from a dream. So you could go into a dream, and then from a dream, you can go into another realm and astral travel. And I do believe that the people who have those really vivid dreams and remember them, those are beyond dreams. I think that's them remembering their travels at nighttime, because the physical body has to sleep, but the spiritual body doesn't sleep. It doesn't need sleep. So it's going to go off and do work. I had an interesting thing happen to me years ago when I started doing this. I was in town, and it was like the main street of town. There was outdoor restaurants, and I was walking, and this young man stopped me, and he said, you came to me on the battlefield when he was like in Iraq or Iran or somewhere, and a mine had gone off, and he was really, really injured. So you were the angel that came to me. You saved me. It was
Oh
just,
my
it was
gosh.
crazy. And I think that's what a lot of us, especially light workers, do at night. I think we're leaving our body and we're going around and we're assisting and helping wherever we can, because that's why we're here. So I think there's a lot more to dreams than anyone really knows or understands.
And through the day, I can sometimes put my dream together, like why I dreamt what I dreamt. Like it comes back to me. I don't dream as, I don't remember it as much as I used to, but it comes back to me through the day. I can put the puzzle pieces together. And sometimes it gives me directions for what I'm supposed to be doing that day. Or then
Absolutely.
all of a sudden someone comes, I get a text message from someone who was in my dream, or I get a phone call from someone, that kind of, this just fascinates me no end. Is vibrational sound and energy therapy and tuning, is it like exercise that you need to do it every day?
Nope. I tell my clients that that once a month is plenty. I've had some clients get so addicted to it that they wanted to come once a week, and I actually turned them down. I said, you don't need to do this once a week, because we check the chakras with the pendulum before and after, so we know. And so I have some that just feel better if they come every other week. But I have some that are just once a month. I have some that are seasonal, that I say just come once a season, kind of clear out the cobwebs and get it going. In the beginning, it's good to come a bit more to raise your vibrational frequency rate. But what happens is it starts shifting things in your life. So the things that brought your vibration down, you're no longer attracted to. So the lower vibrating foods or relationships or whatever. So the more, it's almost like, you start to need it less and less, actually, because
Right.
you get it and you're staying in a, now something might happen, a tragedy, somebody dies, oh my gosh, and then they're going to come back. We need to bring their vibration
So
back up.
how does a tune, I mean, you're holding up these things. How does a tuning fork actually work?
Well, we have it's a very complicated method. I'll be honest with
Okay.
you. It's hard for my students to learn, because we're like Tesla said, if you understood frequency, that everything in the universe is frequency and vibration and energy, and sound is all of that. And he also said, if you understood the magnificence of 3, 6, and 9, you'd have the keys to the universe.
Well, I
So
want to show you. I'm
work that.
wearing 3. I'm wearing 3 pins. 3
There
is
you go.
it's so universal. There are so many in my life, but I think in 3 and then 6 and 9, the multiples of it are fundamental to everything.
Yes,
Our
they are.
calendar, our clocks, everything
Correct.
is based on that. For
Yes.
me, also my religious beliefs, the 3,
The 3,
and
Trinity.
the 3, it is just such an anchor in
Yes.
my life. So I have 3 pins on all the time. I can talk to you forever because I know so little about this, but I know so much more about it now than I did before we started this conversation. I want people to know how to be in touch with you. So I want to put it up here right now so that people can reach out to you, because like me, I am sure they are fascinated, curious, want to know more, feel that they need to know more, because my feeling is that we all need to know more, and then discern how it fits into your life and if it's the right thing. So I've put this up here, Lisa, where people can link to you and
Yes.
find out more and become a student. Now, did I hear correctly that it's not effective or efficient for you to work with people over Zoom? You need to be physically
No,
present with
no,
them?
I actually do virtual. I always, to me, I always love it being in person, right? Who doesn't want to lay down on the table and someone work on them? But I just had a client, just the other day from Jupiter, Florida. As a matter of fact, I met her on a trip in Chaco Canyon, and she just thought, I just used the phone. I put the phone where their head would be on my table. I actually have my table set up. I put chakra stones where the chakras would be. I do the whole thing.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yep. And she said
That's
that
wonderful.
the results were so amazing. She said she's never felt more zen, more high, naturally high. And she's like, when can I book my next session? So it can absolutely do that. And if you go to my website, which is just my name.com, lisaalexander.com, you wait about 40 seconds, a little drop box will come down. It'll give you a free meditation that has all the solfeggio frequencies in it. So it's only 9 minutes. So start just listening to those frequencies just by themselves, and that'll help start to raise your vibrational frequency and get you attuned and used to it.
And you also mentioned at the beginning of our conversation, the Gregorian chants, which are so magnificent to listen to,
Yes.
very celestial. And I know that I've walked into some churches, regardless of what denomination, and they just have it there. And it brings you like this sense of, for me, bigger than myself, that you really are connecting on a different level. So even listening to wonderful sounds like Gregorian chants are a good thing. Lisa,
Absolutely.
I cannot thank you enough for sharing all of this information. I cannot say goodbye to you without commenting that you said, a model and an actress, your beauty is quite obvious. To say that you are 60 is hard to believe, I must say. And listen, that's a great testimonial. If having this wonderful therapy and vibrational healing can have you looking like that when you're 60 years old, I mean, everybody should just sign up for that reason alone. You are magnificent.
Thank you so much, Beth. It's been such a pleasure talking to you. And yes, you can see I'm passionate about this. I could go on forever about it. And when I speak live, I usually end up getting off the stage, and then I continue on talking to everybody afterwards, because it's my passion, it's my drive, it's what God sent me here to do.
Truly,
and I am here
truly,
to
you were
serve.
tapped. You were tapped. You were
Yes.
tapped. And whether it was by that wonderful woman, what was her name? Who came
Tracy.
into
Yeah.
Not a coincidence. We know that that was two angles coming together for a purpose, on purpose, in the right moment. So thank you so much. And I want to remind all of our viewers and listeners that you can rewatch Lisa's wonderful talk and learn more by hearing it over and over again. You can watch all of the former B.E.P talks that we have, and you can simply go to youtube.com/at beptalks/video. You will meet more extraordinary women, individuals, men as well, just like Lisa Alexander, who talk on a total range of topics. So those are there for you, for your viewing and listening pleasure always. And for you to be a guest on B.E.P Talks, just go to beptalks.com. And as we always say, may the best always be yet to come. So until we talk again, blessings to all. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.